Am I more than you bargained for? Ghoul. Been 200 years since the bombs all blew.
Is President of the United States Canadian? My God. There's the scandal.
I'm sleeping in power armor, dreaming of you.
Welcome to Fallout Boys, the officially unofficial podcast for Fallout on Amazon Prime. I'm Jim.
I'm Aaron.
And we're back for Season 2, Episode 8. It's the strip. It's the finale. It's, I don't know. What is it? Aaron, what'd you think of this one?
I was really pleased, not being a Fallout fan and not knowing if this is like doing justice to the lore. I thought this was a great season. I thought it was pretty awesome the way they were able to get everyone together at the end of the season again, and it didn't feel like it was coincidence. It felt like these are a natural drawing together. I thought the Deathclaw battle was really cool and exciting. A lot of stuff that we, because I think I've been, and maybe you've been on this train too. It's like, is Buds like a secret society within Vault Tech? And it does seem like that is the case, or maybe Hank co-opted it for the Enclave, but
yeah.
The reveal of him and Stephanie, and the fact that apparently the president, Clancy Brown, is an Enclave acolyte. This conspiracy goes all the way to the top. And I like what, but it's like, there are some things that were definitively dealt with. Like, I don't think we'll see Hank again. Or if we do, he certainly won't be the character he was. So that arc of like, and it feels like that's the death of Lucy's innocence. Like, she no longer has a viable path to go back to being a vault dweller. So, and she's just also, this show, I think, effortlessly slides between the silly and the sublime. Like that her grief at losing her father was really excellent. And the townsfolk, they're kind of half-ass support for Maximus saving them. I thought, there's honestly a lot of stuff. What did Jesus say in the Bible? He who has ears, listen. Like, if you got your eyes and your ears open and you're watching the show, there's a lot of kind of conclusions that you can draw, and some lessons you can probably apply to today, which I think is pretty awesome. Pretty funny that Jeff Bezos is financing this anti-billionaire project.
We got some feedback about that.
It's it's the highest rated thing on his channel. It must be. Does he even know? Does he even get the joke? What did you think, Jim?
I'm sure he knows. He certainly doesn't care. Why would he? Yeah, I'm with you. I really like this episode and the season as a whole, frankly, because I did have, like, throughout the course of the season, a little bit of lingering, like, something is not quite adding up here. All the players in this feel like they're not the main characters quite yet. And then we get the reveal here, and they've been teasing, more and more with the Enclave and stuff, who might be involved in that, or that there is a bigger entity behind the scenes. And now it all makes sense when you start to, connect the dots on, like, who is Hank talking to? Is he talking to House when he first gets to Vegas, or what? No, I don't think so. I think he's talking to whoever is in charge of the Enclave here. And it just kind of all made it feel retroactively more cohesive.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like, these weren't like out of the blue, because when Hank had that conversation, we almost said, this seems like a very schizophrenic conversation. It's both kind of slavishly towards this, but also kind of threatening. And with the detail of it being him reporting into the Conclave and saying, oh, Vault Tech doesn't know and all that, that really answered a lot of those things. The cards were all played face up. We just didn't know what all the meanings and connections were. I do have a lot of questions about, I don't know how much freeze framing and frame by frame analysis you did of some of the Enclave systems, but I find it very hard to believe that Robert House is not involved in this project at all. And I'm wondering if this is, I don't know. Is he playing dead? Was this his attempt to like wash his influence off but it could just be, I mean, we'll have to talk about it when we get there. But like, if you look at the operating systems and the protocols and the things there, it's all Robco, man. The Enclave is running Robco OS, like an officially licensed, copyrighted 2076 version. I couldn't help but note that there's a post-credit scene. And if you look at there's schematics of the post-credit scene, and if you look at the companies involved in this project, Robco's there. Like, I just find it hard to believe that all of his shit would be in the middle of this, and he is not aware or involved of it or of any of it. But maybe there's a lot of other mysterious things he said that doesn't quite make sense. And the way they find his penthouse, Maximus and Lucy at the inn, has me have a lot of questions about what the hell just happened.
Well, that's the good thing about this episode is I don't come away knowing everything. I do come away with a lot of questions for next season. Hank claims that he's already set in motion some things that I'm excited to learn more about. We know that Quintus is doing some plan with something called Liberty Prime Alpha, which I'm sure the game people are jumping up and down celebrating. I know nothing about it.
Here's the thing: like, I've made it known that I don't know much about Fallout. I only know the lore and the memes that have like brought kind of broken outside the video game culture containment. And Alpha Prime or Liberty Prime is one of the ones. I even said it on the pre-show. It's like, this is the one thing that I'm like knew about. So like the 4 or 5 neurons I have dedicated to Fallout lore lit up like a Christmas tree on that scene. And I think it's going to be really fun and like kind of indication of how gonzo this whole thing could get by the end.
Mm-hmm. And what's going to be in Colorado waiting for Cooper when he gets there, what, both like
skiing in the nation,
civilization wise, but also family wise. What does that family look like now?
Was Barb working for the Enclave? Like, the only thing that I know in Colorado is the Enclave, right? They're up in the mountains, ensconced.
Gotta be. Yeah. I mean, the fact that she was at one point in one of these cryo chambers in the manager vault makes me think that, whatever Hank had going on with the Enclave was also involving her. But I don't know. These are all questions I have going into next season that I'm excited to explore more about. And that's probably the best thing you could hope for, is being excited for the questions they're raising.
Well, not only that, but I don't know how you feel, but like, yes, there's a lot of questions raised. There were some answers given, but like this finale gave me the hope that they know what they're doing and they know where they're going. Like, none of this felt like ass pulls. None of this felt like, closing the door just for closing the door's sake or rug pulling the audience. It all felt like, like the showrunners know what they're doing and they're confidently moving towards an end game.
I mean, we've been unknowingly sort of seeing the wheels in motion since episode 2, whatever the episode called The Head was, right? Where we're introduced to the Enclave and the scientist that becomes the head that is transporting the diode. Like, all that stuff has been in motion the whole time. It's just taken a while to cook.
Yep.
And I still feel like there's so much more to explore there.
Oh yeah. Like, I just wonder, like, I don't know how many seasons are we going to really like march across the United States? Are we ever going to get to, it's the Boston Commonwealth, right?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I mean, are we going to track this all the way to, from sea to shiny sea? That's the thing, is I could see him doing it because they're already to the Rocky Mountains by the end of season 2. So maybe next year we'll get to Mississippi. Season 4, the Appalachians.
Yeah, that's where Fallout 76 takes place, I think. So
does it really?
I'm sure they'll want to get there, given that's the active property in the Fallout franchise.
Yeah. Is that the one that's online?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, shall we talk about the episode in a structured scene-by-scene kind of way?
Yeah, let's do it.
Before we do that, I do want to say thank you to everyone who supported our Groundhog Day charity 24-hour Batman marathon, our Batathon. We set what I thought was a ludicrously ambitious goal. And I'm like, oh, 50,000, huh? Well, guess we'll finally find out what it feels like when we don't hit that and see what the community... Nope, community crushed it. We left the stream at about $52,000 raised for the Cure Owls Foundation, Cure Owls Fund, rather, cureowls.org. I've gotten emails from people saying that they have a company match that's coming to the tune of 1,000 or so, or there's still some merch to be added. And the important thing is the drive is not over. If you go to groundhog.baldmove.com, it's like, oh crap, I forgot this weekend. Oh, I was too busy. But you do believe in the cause of finding a treatment, prevention, slow and eventual reversal of Alzheimer's. Please go to groundhog.baldmove.com. You can buy some really cool t-shirts. There's some awesome Batman/Bald Move themed shirts. And at least one cool coffee mug that's still for sale. All of the proceeds of that go right to Cure Owls, and you can also still use the donate link. I will be getting with the Cure Owls people probably sometime next week to do my annual wrap up and hear Lainey talk about the latest developments in Alzheimer's research and how we can, in the meantime, prevent it and guard ourselves against it with some lifestyle choices and changes. But I'm just, again, incredibly thankful for everyone to stop by. I said, hey, doing a great job. Flipped us some cash. Always tiring, but feels good. So groundhog.baldmove.com if you want to make that number a little bit bigger. That still is going to be open for another week or so. But I'll have the final total. We'll be dumping the final total with the wrap-up podcast in a week or so, and we'll post those both, the Bald Move Pulp and Bald Move Premium or Prestige, and Premium too. Want the club members. They're doing the heavy lifting. Want them to hear it too. Anyway, groundhog.baldmove.com, and Talitha's helpfully put that link in the show notes if you're driving around, you can't make a note of it. All right, 208 The Strip begins with the battle for control of Kaiser's Legion. You remember that? Mm-hmm. Cooper set off a big explosive device. Chaos reigned. Macaulay Culkin, a.k.a. the Lacerta Legate, drags the corpse of the former Kaiser back to his field tent and finds a note indicating his successor. Surprise! There is none. He never intended it to outlive himself. But Culkin here decides to carpe the diem and takes Kaiser's crown, declares his intention to invade New Vegas and establish a Kaiser's Palace from which to rule. Can you imagine that, Jim? A Kaiser's Palace in Vegas. My God.
It's unimaginable. Yeah.
Do you find that cringe or hilarious? Because I found it very funny. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. This surprised me starting out with this scene because I thought we were basically done. I thought that this was a case of, well, they're going to tear themselves apart. Nothing of any consequence will be left. And that's that. I did not see... I mean, I guess I should have. With an actor like Macaulay Culkin, you don't hire him for just a cameo, I guess. Although
you can, though. That he definitely will do it.
right. Which may
that's not a slight on him, and I'm not saying he'd do anything, but he fucking loves Fallout. And if you say, "Can you put on some Kaiser's Legion gear and stomp around in it for an episode?" he'd be like, "Yes, I will."
Yeah. So, frankly, I was surprised by this. And I'm surprised that it's even going to continue into season 3. Because, Lucy at the end talks about laments to a man who's started a war to himself about how horrible it is she started this war that's coming.
Yeah, he can relate.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I guess I was kind of surprised, too, because I felt like they built up the Legion to be this kind of fractured thing. And, that maybe... Because the scale that we saw kind of looked like, maybe it's a little bit bigger than the New California Legion or New California Republic's Ranger Army, but apparently there's a much, much more sizable contingent. And once they got leadership, unified in a goal that they believed in. Like, I don't know, there's at least 1,000 dudes. That seems like a big army by Wasteland standards, more than I've seen the Brotherhood field at one time.
Sure.
More than I've seen any of the minor gangsters or whatever. It's a freaking army. But then again, as we'll find out later in the episode, the new California Republic's army wasn't as dead as we feared. Apparently, the reinforcements finally came. That was super interesting. We didn't even talk about it in the intro.
Yeah, totally unexpected.
Other than the Caesar's Palace joke and the Kaiser stuff and Legate being a shit weasel, I'm not sure there's much to talk about. So let's move on to the computerized version of Robert House bargains with Cooper to lead him to his family via Pip-Boy in return for Cooper not trotting through fresh scientific snow by blowing his reactor up.
Yeah, which he claims, would impact other planets even.
Bullshit.
I don't know if that's a bluff or not. Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Either this show is way weird sciencer than I suspected, which is entirely, or Robert House is bullshitting. Because I don't care what kind of fucking fusion. I don't care if that's matter, antimatter annihilation. You're not going to do something from Earth that's going to destroy and affect another planet. Not even the moon, if you want to say that's a planet. So that's got to be hyperbole, right?
I assume, yeah. And his statement here, eventually everyone works for me. I am really trying to look at where Robert House starts in this episode in a position of seeming power, right? He has a piece of information that the Ghoul wants, the Cooper wants, and so he's going to leverage that. By the end of this episode, as best I can tell, he's turned back off. Like, I don't know. They never show whether Cooper takes the diode or shoots the diode or anything like that, but the signal is lost. House is not on the screen anymore. It seems... I also can't imagine that it's the end of House in this story, because he seems like too significant a player. Too much information to just let go.
The only way it would make sense if his story was essentially he was like the other CEOs, that he was just a patsy being played by this enclave government shadow organization to affect their own ends, and it would kind of be funny if that's what it is, and he just got outplayed, and he thought he had a card to play, and it turns out he didn't even have that, and the Ghoul's like double fingers, flip off, jog off guy kind of thing.
For sure. I guess in order to fully make that point, I would have needed Cooper to say something to that effect, or I guess put him in his place, not just have him, shown to be turned off, and who knows in what state. So I'm still like thinking Robert House is out there, at least in the computer, ready to be turned on again at any point.
Well, he also makes reference to his body and how while he's been deactivated, people have come by and shot it and stabbed it and probably pissed on it. Maybe done funny stuff with the orifices of his body. But I don't know if he's talking metaphorically, like they came to his casino and was like vandalizing it, or if there is like some kind of representative Diane Welsh component of him that's sitting on perhaps a golden throne. That he's somewhat
she does confuse
aware.
The issue a bit,
yeah, or that like even if this is off and Cooper came by, because all we know is that Cooper left that gun wedged in, ready to do something to the reactor, and when Maximus and Lucy find it a little bit later, that is fully sealed. I didn't notice there's a gun on the floor, like Robert Frost had crushed it. Someone's been there and flipped the breaker, done something with it. But like I can't quite figure out which I believe more, that Robert House is just another patsy, or the Robert House, if you look at all the Robco stuff and the kind of like teasing for next year or next season, is he actually pulling the strings even behind Enclave? And he said, I got it a smidge wrong. And some of the stuff he said also made me feel like that he had got things wrong, but he's gotten things right in the meantime. And it could be that if the Enclave did outsmart him, but they also used Robco operating system, because that was the dominant stuff, that he would be able to co-opt them from beyond the grave, essentially. But
I mean, that's the thing. He does have knowledge of this entity working behind the scenes, and so knowledge being power, perhaps he could, figure out what they want, what they're trying to do, and figure out a way to subvert that.
I did like how, he's like, the house always wins. He's like, I'm not sure winning's all it's cracked up to be, Bobby, because those pools down there used to be full. Like, okay, you won? You won what? To be the king of the irradiated wasteland where everything sucks? Like, goddamn. Like, even a rich person can't enjoy this world, right?
Yeah, but then I pair that with, what Hank says, that the surface is the experiment.
Right.
And then I wonder how much of that was House is doing and how much of that is the Enclave versus Vault-Tec. If there's an intention to the way the surface is, he definitely could have won if that was his vision. Now, if it's somebody else's vision, that's a loss, I imagine, to him.
Yeah. And like, what does that mean by the surface is the experiment? The Enclave's headquarters are on the surface. They're not living in vaults. So does that mean they're part of the experiment? And also, like, what Hank says at the end is like, you can't get a view like this down in the vault. And this is a destroyed, urban wasteland he's gushing about. I was saying, like, even if everyone's safely underground, that's like the masters of the universe, that's still a shit life. You're not. We're not supposed to live underground. We're not mole people. It is kind of intellectually satisfying to think that these people essentially made Morlocks of themselves from a time machine, but still, it's not great. Not great, Bob, I would say to Mr. House.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then again, as you already called it, his line about everyone eventually ends up working for me. I couldn't help but think about that in the ensuing 200 years. That, like, okay, the Enclave, they got me. They pulled something quick, but everyone ends up working for me. On the other hand, he did feel pretty defeated when Cooper took off the Pit Boy and was like, "I don't work for you."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seemed like Cooper was a bit of his lifeline. His connection, his physical connection. I thought he had leverage over
that could do stuff with.
Yeah, but he gave it up awfully easy as well. It's very, and I know that the writers of this show are smart enough to realize that, right? Mm-hmm. It's something they're playing with, not something they overlooked. So, how in control is he? Does he have some schemes behind the scenes? It feels to me like the latter is true.
I concur. Let's move on to Lucy. In the Vault-Tec management bunker compound, is horrified to find the mainframe powering her father's mind control project is actually the severed zombified head of one Representative Diane Welch. The head, once it recovers consciousness, begs for death. Lucy reluctantly gives it the release of death, stopping the machines clustered around her in their tracks.
Okay. I just praised the writers for how smart they are. Is this scene an oversight? Because the mind, as I understood from last episode, the mind control mainframe is what is giving people any kind of personality after they get amnesia. Mm-hmm. And there are a couple of scenes after this moment where she smashes the representative's head and therefore stops the mainframe, where people are doing the bidding of like that goon that comes up and tries to kill Lucy, right? Or not kill her, but like hold her down so they can put the device on her neck. That guy's following orders that I'm not actually sure I understand where they come from. And then later, Hank, when he decides to blank his own mind, switches to a peaceful personality. Am I supposed to understand that as just his default personality, absent all of the shit that the Enclave or Vault-Tec has filled his head with, or am I supposed to understand that somehow the mainframe is working again?
I think it's to pardon the pun, loosey-goosey a bit, and I can't offer you any surety, but here's what I noticed when I subsequently watched the thing and was paying attention to some of the labels and stuff. It looks like Diane is hooked up to like these big mainframe machines and all that, but she's also being like, her personality is being copied into like 8 of these boxes at a time. So that implies that there is some kind of like, maybe they can't make any new boxes, or maybe they can't convert anyone new. But if any box had Diane's personality laid into it, then it would still function. I don't know if you could give them more new priorities, or if they're like limited in some way. Or I noticed that the Legate. The Legionnaire, the ex-Legionnaire, when he came down, was no longer the friendly personality. So maybe like Hank was using it at the full power. So it's just kind of like, you know, the original Robert House spec, where it's just kind of a servitor and automaton. It didn't have the personality. Yeah. So it's like I could see either way. I think that, I mean, properly understood, I think this would be a blow to Hank's operation, but also I think Hank's operation's done now. And we're on to phase 2, whatever the fuck that is.
They do make that pretty clear, that whatever plan is set in motion is already in motion, and none of this really matters. I do wish they had made it a little bit more clear about exactly what the mainframe did, exactly how it was hooked up, and so I could have understood these scenes a little bit better. Because frankly, I was a little distracted by it. Like, you don't want me scratching my head during a scene trying to connect dots when you're trying to tell an emotional story that I'm no longer paying attention to.
We talked about the horrific possibility that Hank always intended his children to be like the templates for these perfect personalities. And I don't know that I am talked out of that possibility. I think it might be moot now, because Hank, as far as we knew him, is gone. But yeah, he was going to chip his girl and brainwash her into thinking that he's not a monster, to be part of his plan. But yeah, with I imagine he would have, if, you know, since Diane is dead.
No, I think so. I think it was a choice of whether to have lost Lucy entirely by, you know, having her see who he really is and despise him, or, you know, resetting her and getting back the girl that he wished she was again. He chose the latter, even though it's horrific. Yeah,
that force feeding tube pump. How the fuck does all that stuff work? Like, has she been awake since 2077? As you know, she looks very corpse-ish, but she also knew kind of who she was and what state she was in. I noticed that one of the later kills me. She's like, "You've got to kill me and stop him," and that leads to questions: is she talking about Hank? Is she talking about House? Is she talking about Mr. Enclave, whoever that might be? Like, speaking of big actors that you wouldn't think would be in a 5-second cameo, Clancy Brown. I'm assuming Clancy
kind of leaning that way too. Yeah.
Plus, like, did we forget Ron Perlman's fucking super mutant? And that's still on the table. So we were introduced a lot of shadowy figures that I think are going to come up big in future seasons. But I'm with you. It's not totally clear, and maybe they're leaving that a little nebulous so that they can do more, because clearly the chip project is something that was like at least a miniaturization and co-opting of it was something that was near and dear to the Enclave's hearts. And I'm guessing that a lot of that dog meat stuff in the very beginning of season 1 was maybe them trying to perfect that technology, maybe them trying to get a species of super obedient super police dogs or something, because they're cheaper than and more rugged than, I don't know, the robots they are using. But hard to say, because I guess everything is like, God damn, did you see that probe droid that they have in the Enclave? It looks like it's a anti-grav. It's very high tech, very, dare I say, Imperial technology, Star Wars coded.
You
need to get Chewbacca to pop out of a snowbank and distract it so you can destroy it.
Yeah, I will say, along the lines of things that were distracting me, realities that were distracting me in this scene is another one. You just can't speak without lungs. It's just not possible. Like,
True.
maybe some electrodes hooked in to vibrate at just the right but like the air coming out of you is what makes sound come out.
It did sound digitized, so I wonder if it just wasn't speaking out through like a speaking grill or but like why would you let Diane Welch
yeah,
have
give her
no
that
mouth and
capability?
must scream, why would you do
Right.
that? All right, our old pal Ronnie, one of Bud's chief buds, is literally frog marching Norm to a show trial for his betrayal, and no one listens to Claudia protesting about it. Ronnie belts her in the head, knocking her into the elevator controls, which opens the elevator shaft, revealing Ma Jun's Radroach farm, which flies up the shaft and proceeds to kill and devour everything in its path, except for Norm. Norm manages to hide underneath a table while the swarm passes over.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious what was going to happen here as soon as you see the previously on show the one clip of her going, "What's in there? Radroach farm." And that's it. Like, oh,
I
here
did
we
think
go.
it was funny. The gal, like, looking over the edge is like, there's nothing down here. I guess those roaches weren't as big as they say. And then,
of course,
it's high comedy. Fairly gruesome.
Yeah. And this the callous way that this guy treats Norm, kicking him out of the break room, actually ends up saving him, right? And dooming them.
Yeah. Although I would think that if he had they all would have lived if he'd have just let Norm in.
I think so.
The problem I have is I still don't know what to think about Claudia. How did she survive that Radroach attack?
I don't know why you're so suspicious of Claudia. She's a first week employee who just got the lay of the land.
I don't like the way she looked at Janie's picture.
All right.
I think she might, in fact, be Janie.
All right.
Is what I'm saying. Although, no, that can't be because Janie was Janie's age when the bombs dropped. So.
Yeah. And Janie had her own cryopod, which...
but it's empty.
So.
What if Barb and Janie wake up and they've joined some kind of resistance thing and Janie's aged about 10 years or so, and they find the management vault and they do some this is me making up a lot of shit. I realize that as I'm saying it. What if they find out that there was one of Bud's buds that had less than a week's experience and they're like, fuck it, we'll just switch you. And then we'll have an undercover agent, and I get the idea that like they probably might not recognize her, or maybe if Claudia was mixed race individual, that's like they wouldn't notice. I don't know, but like that's I just you're asking me why am I not believing? I just don't trust that look she gave Janie's picture.
Okay,
there's something furtive about it. When she was going through Barb's office.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I can't really account for why that shot was the way the shot was.
I thought for a minute that was Claudia banging on the window. The last one that kind of like, tried before everything descends into roach chaos. And I was like, am I supposed to think that like Norm's a coward here? But no, it wasn't her. If you look, you're just like that woman's got her hair parted on a different side, different hairstyles, different facial features. And I guess, Norm didn't want this to happen. He it's not like he sold Claudia out, but
no.
So Mr. House continues to drone on and on about how he was constantly outplayed by this shadowy organization called the Enclave as he leads Cooper deeper and deeper into the Vault Tech management vault. He claims this Enclave set the Death Claws loose in Vegas and that Hank is one of their acolytes. This triggers another flashback of Cooper and Barb celebrating what they think is a win in Vegas. When Hank walks up, unaware of all that happened last night, thanks Cooper for hooking him up with Stephanie, the evil Canadian, who is unbelievably overqualified to be a cleaning lady. Can you believe it? This untapped human capital is being wasted in this casino.
Man, I was wondering how you were going to recap this episode because it's split up into a lot of different intertwined scenes.
Can I say, maybe too much? This is like, I don't understand. At the end, it got a little bit more understanding when everything, the past and the present and the Lucy of it all kind of, but like, I didn't like the kind of 45 seconds here, long cut the blackness, 45 seconds here, long cut the blackness. I thought they maybe interleaved or collated this episode less than they should have.
Yeah, I feel you. It can be a way to establish a momentum, I guess, in an episode where maybe it would be hard to otherwise. It's a little fancy editing trick, but yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. I would much rather honestly deal with like all of the Norm stuff up to the point where like we need his story to coincide with the others for the point we're trying to make, instead of cutting it up so much. But whatever, they did what they did. I will say, so I'm trying to think like who is part of the Enclave. It seems apparent to me that like the president of the United States was. He describes them, this entity behind the scenes, the people responsible for like the demon in the snow, right? The Death Claws, as the Vault Tech investors. And we've seen the Vault Tech investors in the scene where Barb is, trying to sell them on it. And they all must be different ones, devising their own experiments. What's that?
I said those must be different. Like those are the Patsy investors?
No, as far as I can tell, those are the people who are part of the Enclave as well. Because he's describing like those people, the Vault-Tec investors. That's who they were. So we'll see. Maybe those people will come back.
Because he was one of those investors. Like it was his stand-in at the fake Robert House, but he was at that table. So how would he not?
Yeah, totally.
I'm thinking that there's another layer on top of that's in the Clancy Brown co-opted the president of the United States and maybe a large portion of the government, maybe some of the military, which you would need to launch missiles. But
it's
again,
possible.
A lot of that's just speculation.
Yeah, totally. And we don't know when he discovered that they were playing a different game. It might be that he was in the room and he just didn't realize the game that was being played, or he thought he did and it just didn't work out. I don't know. We don't quite know enough yet, which is kind of why I'm hoping House isn't gone. And I can't imagine that he is. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see where that goes. As far as like Cooper giving the diode to the president, I like this scene here in the airport where he's kind of, realizing his mistake over the course of this episode. And there's some stuff because they're like celebrating, right? Like we did the right thing, and
it's in the president's hands. Everything's going to be safe. We're going to trust in the system.
Yeah, and then he's going to get that call from Robert. But there's a couple of nice things in this scene where they use the phrase "you never know" on several posters in different contexts. So one of them is an advertisement for Vault Tech where Cooper's face is plastered all over it, and it says, get a Vault because you never know. And then
you've got it's too late.
Right next to it is Robert House on a Lucky 38 poster saying you never know and giving the big thumbs up. Like you could get lucky.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of interesting stuff like that. And I also thought it was interesting that, especially in the first time, it's a little bit easier in the second, but still there's ambiguity. There's some lines that Robert is saying on the phone in the past, and some things Robert is saying to Cooper on the phone in the airport in the past, and some things he's saying to him on the Pit Boy in the future. And I think they're playing a little fast and loose with some of the lines. So I didn't go back and like try to figure out like, okay, if I assumed that this was in the future and this was in the past, what does that mean? Now, if I switch that around and this sentence came from but I thought that was interesting because it gives them another layer of essentially bullshit, another layer of shell game that they can play with me, you, and Cooper here.
Sure, and I know they love shell games, but like as an American, this "you never know" thing is especially poignant because we're sold on both ends. We're sold the fear of what could potentially happen. There could be devastating consequences, and here's why you need to prepare for those. And we have the solution. If you just send, 25 payments of $25.99 here, you can get the protection against what you never know what could happen. And then you got the other side of it, which is the hope, right? You get sold on the fear and the hope. The hope is I could become a billionaire tomorrow. You never know. Yep. So put your money down on black and we'll take 2% of every transaction and eventually we'll bleed you dry, it's all a trap. It's every single bit of it is a trap.
Is the Enclave Canadians? Because that's the other thing is like...
is President of the United States Canadian? My God. There's the scandal.
Oh, Canada, on guard for
Is Clancy Brown Canadian? He might be. I have no idea.
Oh, that would be funny.
Yeah, I gotta look this up. Nope, he's an American actor. As American as apple pie.
Oh, God, born in Urbana, Ohio? That is... As Clancy Brown goes, so does America. Yeah, lots of stuff. And like, again, because I just thinking that because like I got the idea that Stephanie was like a part of the Canadian resistance. It's one of the reasons she was rounded up and put in camps and was on the run from those armed Americans. And it seems like she jumped at this opportunity to get herself ingratiated into Vault Tech. Yeah. So, yeah, was Hank true blue for Vault Tech until Stephanie twisted his mind? Or, did she hitch a ride with this Enclave thing, not even knowing?
Does she have superpowers, like mind control abilities? Because he proposes to her in a it's Vegas, right? So that's kind of part of the joke.
Right.
But come on, man.
I don't know. It seems like she could be pretty persuasive. Before I knew she was an evil woman, I thought she was one of the prettiest gals, charmingest gals on the show. So I imagine it seems like they're just playing Hank as like a little bit of a dork. I've seen Kyle MacLachlan when he was that age, and he was a beautiful man. Not a bit of baby fat on him, great hair, chiseled chin. That's not this Hank. I think this Hank, blue-eyed, blonde-haired Stephanie with a little bit, she's learned to hide her boots. That he's just blown away by. Plus, he's also under the influence. Like Cooper got him fucked up and drugged to where he doesn't even remember that part of it. He just like wakes up in Stephanie's bed and it's like, oh my God, Cooper's just even says you're an amazing wingman.
Does this knowing that Stephanie essentially has a superpower of persuasion, does this recontextualize how much of a coward or lack thereof Chet is?
No, because I think the thing that's going on in Vault 32 kind of reinforces that he's a well-meaning goof, but he's still a goof. You know, he's like, the Vault's woken up to the wool. Oh God, now they're chanting for people's death. This isn't the revolution I wanted.
Yeah, that was an interesting scene.
At the Strip, Maximus valiantly fights the Death Claws while the Strip's population takes bets on how long he'll last. Thaddeus, fed up with them, puts down 500 caps on Maximus before heading outside with his rifle to, rig the bet. He's doing a little bit of Robert House here. He's not doing much rigging, though.
Yeah. As far as I can tell, he takes one shot this whole episode.
Oh. I did like his, the hot dog aspect of Maximus figuring out that this NCR thing has got lots more weapon systems. It's got like a Tony Stark-esque shoulder-mounted micro missile launcher. It's got this fucking howitzer. I don't know what kind of gun, this wrist rocket gun. It's got the blades that he's just slicing these things in half. It's a formidable suit. And he's gotten a lot better at using it, but still. There's a lot. That's the other thing. Is like I thought there's like 3 or 4 or 5 death claws. There's a whole fucking piss pot full of them in that strip.
Oh yeah, it looks like there's no fewer than 10, I would guess. Yeah. And I have to imagine that you get one of these suits in one of the games at some point, right? And you just have to feel like a god after running around, with the junk cannon or something. Shooting doll legs or whatever you're shooting, and then you get this thing.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Yeah, it's like you're invincible.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can, if like this, like, Maximus, I will say that I want to start taking Maximus more serious. I don't think I can say Maximus is a total idiot anymore. Maximus has grown into a man over this season. But like this suit allowed Maximus to 1v1 about 8 death claws by my count. That's pretty damn impressive, I imagine. Maybe death claws aren't that powerful in the game, but they seem like they are.
I'm impressed.
But yeah, Thaddeus, like, when they're like, you don't got no chips, and he just shakes his leg, and he is stuffed all. You know how uncomfortable it must be. I don't know if this is like, maybe kids don't know, but those bottle caps have sharp metal edges.
Yeah.
I guess they do. Like, that's the beer. Imagine you got your pants swimming with 500 beer bottle caps. It's got to be so and loud too. Like, you'd be jingle jangling. But I thought, and it's like, and I used to make money for a living, which is true in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I love it.
What are we supposed to? What kind of conclusion or what kind of lesson are we to learn about the inhabitants of the strip here?
Are you talking about the scene where the person who's taking bets says, if he loses, we're all dead, right? And they go, I'll put another 20 on it.
There's like 3 different versions of this. There's the one where Thaddeus is like, this guy, we got to do something to help him, trying to rally, and everybody's like, I ain't going to do that. And then there's the lady saying, you just realize if he dies, we're all going to die. And then there's the final one where Ibrahim had like a Spider-Man moment. We're like, oh my God, he's just a kid. Let's go take back our town. And he finally got motivated, but everybody else is like, nah, fuck that. So I'm about the apathy or like some distractions from bread or circuses.
Worse. It's perverse. It's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it feels to me like people who know, it feels like these common people who have seen the results of actions like this are just as bad as Vault-Tec employees who bring about the end of the world in order to raise their bottom line. It's or to increase their own power over a world that's going to be destroyed. It's so in vain and ridiculous on the face of it, but people have just bought into these incentives that can temporarily enrich them, and consequences be damned. You look around the world, you see it everywhere, constantly, always. And what I think the show is trying to say, although this might be too much of a statement for just a funny little scene that's like, oh, we're dumb. What I think the show is trying to say is everyone is like that, bottom to top. It's not that, the people at the top are some uniquely evil and greedy and self-interested bunch. It's just they've got the power to wield their will, whereas the common people would do the same thing if they had the option. I'm not sure how much. Maybe I'm too pessimistic.
Yeah. Well, but to say nothing, I want to talk about a revelation from last week from the Epstein files. And I'm not going to talk about any politician. I'm not going to talk about raping and murdering children because there's enough of that. I just want to talk about a correspondence between Jeffrey Epstein and Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel, the guy who's run his Palantir system that's hovering up all of our facial recognition and all of our intelligence and is going to, I don't know, you're familiar with the Palantir from Lord of the Rings, how Sauron took over everyone's mind using it. It's fucking evil on the face of it. But Jeffrey Epstein, the day after Brexit passed, he emailed, I'm reading this email right here. In fact, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to give the link to Talitha. You guys can read it for yourself. But he says, Brexit is just the beginning. And Peter Thiel says, of what? And Jeffrey Epstein says, return to tribalism, counter to globalization, amazing new alliances. You and I both agreed zero interest rates were too high. As I said in your office, finding things on their way to collapse is much easier than finding the next bargain. They are openly bragging that they are destroying this global peace and trade alliance that we have because they're tired of doing their jobs as billionaires, which is finding the next big thing and financing it and bring it to life. They want to wreck shit and buy it for cents on the dollar because they're not, even though they got private islands that they're fucking kids and stuff, they're not rich and powerful enough. And this ultimately is what we're fighting against. And this, and I got the betting thing because I found it wild the last few years when I became aware of these poly markets, these places where you can essentially bet on any proposition. And people are betting over how much miles will be advanced in this actual war that's happening, how many people will die, what happens with the election spreads. And it's like all this chaos is happening and people are like, fuck it, put me down for 20.
Yep.
It's really incredible. Really incredible.
It's perverse.
God, is this going to be the Panama Files part 2? Where everyone is like, because that shit was horrific. But now we've got these guys are actually playing Masters of the Universe and rigging. They're Mr. House in it.
Yeah, I thought there would just be shit about sexual abuse in there. It turns out there's a hell of a lot more.
No, they're trying to rig the world order so that they and only they can benefit because they think that everything since the Enlightenment's been bullshit. We need to go back to lords and ladies and peasants and when people respected their betters.
It's feudal. They want feudalism,
because obviously they're the lords that'd be at the top of it. So
yeah, and that's what Robert House wants. That's what the Enclave wants. That's what all of these people controlling, like pulling the strings want in Fallout.
Like I said, don't want to get too political. Don't want to ruin everybody's day.
The show is doing this because, like, okay, the Canadian stuff comes from the games. That's fine. That's one thing. The show is doing this kind of stuff, though, right? And that is coming from the feelings that people have about modern day events. So, and if you don't see any parallels, I don't know. At that point, congratulations, you've won some kind of lottery where your brain just doesn't preoccupy itself with this stuff, and maybe you can be happy. But boy, I continue to see a lot of parallels in this show. It's something that constantly has happened. I'm going to give another link for people who have ears to listen. This is a Wikipedia article on the business plot. An actual thing that happened in America in 1933 where a bunch of the businessmen got together to install a dictator puppet and overthrow the legitimate government of the United States and put an authoritarian regime in its place. Because, again, this is what they're letting the peasants run things, Jim. This shit is it's called democracy.
You give people too much. You give people too much economic power, and they start using it. So I don't know. It's interesting times. Okay, let's go back to Hank. He's confronting Lucy. He claims that he was just trying to add a little personality to Robert House's automated man project and miniaturize it so it'd be so small that no one would even know who was chipped and who wasn't. He then explains that he means Lucy to be the first subject of this new mini chip.
Yeah, this is technology that I think is what Hank developed after he got to Vegas most recently. He's been working on this since then. It's not undetectable, but it is very small and should only leave a scar, that kind of stuff.
Do you know this Myers-Briggs thing? Have you ever been...
I've never
asked
done
to
it.
take it for a corporation.
No.
I've done it twice, and there's one company that really fucking believed in it. I don't know. It seems like rich people astrology, but they do. They pass like, oh, well, this person's not a good fit for that role because they're an ETSJ or whatever. but yeah, that they got this one personality type that's just a perfect servant. You know, they're well-meaning, they're friendly, they're non-threatening. They're not going to really do anything if they're pushed against a wall. And he's explaining this to Lucy as if this is going to make sense to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ultimate horror is when he tells her, you know, she tells him that you're insane, you're a monster, and he's like, you don't really believe that, and if you do, very soon you won't. Like, the fuck.
Yeah. No, that's as cold as it gets, man. Doing it to your own daughter, you know. And I'm trying to think, like, okay, I had the theory last week that maybe, you know, the people involved 33, 32 are sort of being trained to be new mainframes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they can sort of give people these personalities. I can't tell if that's still on the table or if the Vault 33, 32 stuff is like an experiment in how we can massage people into being these personalities so that later, you know, we can mind control them and then massage them into those personalities.
It could be. I feel like that there's still a lot of people alive on the top side in the millions, and maybe the Diane Welch thing doesn't scale as much. It does. I feel like there is something about they're trying to get seed brains for mainframes, but
it feels like it.
Yeah. Because what else is the Bud's secret project? And Hank maybe undermining it, maybe just taking advantage of it, you know. But the real test was on the surface, and like they were all in on it because Ronnie's the one who's like, we got to go to phase 2. We got to go to phase 2. So
yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, even the underlings knew.
It has something to do with the forced evolutionary virus, which I'm assuming is what bug crawled up Ron Perlman's ass.
Yeah, potentially.
And maybe that's also the death clause.
Yeah, it does feel like that was what made the death clause in the first place, but
yeah,
not sure.
But why isn't it spread elsewhere? Like all the other rad creatures seem like they're just irradiated wildlife. Well, I guess not the gulpers. They were okay. There's a lot of fuckery going on here scientifically.
Yeah, from a lot of angles. I don't know, man. That's the thing. Like, losing Hank doesn't actually lose that much knowledge or ability to explain things, because we've got Robert House, who clearly at some point had figured out that there was another entity working on some other plan. He probably has some information. He may or may not be alive, but the one we know for sure has this information is Stephanie. Stephanie being so close to Hank, being married to him, his wife, would definitely know about what's going on here.
I loved Hank's reaction when he's like, yeah, this happened. And then Stephanie, like he kind of shook his head, and like she did a number on him. And now I'm like, how did she stay the same age? They get married. This is starting to make it seem like the baby that Chet is raising might be Hank's baby. Because I don't know when she got out of the tube, but it's not been more than 10, you know, like, but it said, I guess people said that she'd been out of the tube for 2 years, but yeah, I don't know. They're married.
I don't know how much of the arranged marriage stuff is like tied in with you're expected to have a baby now. Like that's the ceremony. That's the line here, right? Like you go, we unfreeze you. You get married into another vault, and then you have a child and eventually become the overseer. I don't know the timeline on that, and I don't know exactly if that's the expectation, but that's kind of where my head's at. She might be as recently unthawed as like a year ago. Or not unthawed. She might be as recently thawed, unfrozen.
Yeah. But like I said, she couldn't have spent that much time out of the pod before she went in, because again, you know, Hank has visibly aged 20, 30 years, and Stephanie is as fresh as a daisy.
Yeah.
Maximus, back on the strip, is about at the end of his rope fighting these death claws when Thaddeus manages to take one out by operating his sniper rifle with his feet. But it's too little, too late. The death claws really begin to maul him, and he's forced to abandon his compromised armor. Taking up a roulette wheel as a shield and a cue stick for a weapon, he intends to go down fighting. However, the NCR Rangers show up in force, swiftly putting the death claws down. How badass. Pete told me that scene of the new Republic Ranger with the 50 caliber sniper rifle that's kind of zoomed in slow motion, that was essentially right out of the cutscene for Fallout New Vegas. You know, like they always have a little cutscene to get you all juiced up for the game. Mm-hmm. And I never would have suspected. I just thought it was badass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was super happy to see the NCR back. It gives you that feeling of hope. Like they're still good in the world.
We've seen a lot of creepy use of feet in the last few years.
Dude.
Boy Clavalier on Alien Earth, the most recent example. It's good to see a heroic use of feet. A heroic feat with great feats of strength.
I'll put it this way. I'd rather see heroic uses of feet than any other use of feet. Great to see feet? I don't know, but especially these feet, man. Ghoul feet or mutant feet, whatever he's
been walking around the wasteland. These things, they're there's a lot of tread on those tires. It's you know, the feet work different than tires. The more you use them, the more tread you get on them.
And these aren't incidental feet either. They're the focus. Like they're front and center in that camera.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think it's impressive as hell. He hit a death claw in a vital area with that thing.
Fair.
But yeah, Maximus is just a badass. He's like, you know, and he sliced one of these things almost torso in half, and he impales another. He's just like going down the hardest. His suit's sparking. The death claws have got the better of him. The only reason he got out of the suit in the first place, I think he'd be dead in it, is that, you know, Thaddeus took this one down. But I will say, and I also like that his father saying, "You were a good boy and you're going to grow up to be a good man," and then, you know, he's just going to heroically sacrifice himself. I don't know what he was hoping, or he's just like, fuck it, we ball.
Yeah.
But
and he's just trying to be a good man, trying to do what he knows is right.
The one of the survivors. I'm very curious about what happened to that ranger outpost. I had the one lady that Cooper knew, and she's been holding out for reinforcements. And there's a couple other guys milling around, but we know that Uncle Rico got captured fighting, you know, with a Legionnaire and got brainwashed. We saw Cooper go through where she was waiting for the reinforcements, and that was a ghost town. Where, I mean, I bought, obviously they came from somewhere. I don't think this is a trick or whatever, but like, I was very curious about where the New California Republic came from, how they had these many well-equipped troops. Yeah,
I don't think the episode has answers for that. I think it's a more like, we want to save the day in a cool way. We could have the Ghoul do it. We could have the NCR do it. We could have Lucy do it. I think there'll be
answers next year, though, don't you think? Because Lucy and Maximus are still there. There's a war to fight. And
they gotta have a conversation.
Lucy knows these people. Yeah, Lucy can talk to these people
for sure. Yeah, I'm excited for that, actually.
Yeah, I was thinking about like, he's like he cut a Dreadclaw in half. He impaled one on a piece of steel beam. The one that was like trying to bite his head off, when we take a little break to another scene, you see just like he ripped its jaw off, like Samson style. This is some of the best power armor fighting I've seen. It's awesome. I didn't think Rock'em Sock'em Robot once, or Power Rangers once.
No, and I mean, Max, you know, he gets out and grabs the roulette wheel for a shield, which is inspired. I love it.
So cool.
And then stands his ground here. He's an inspiration, right? And nobody takes note except for, I'm gonna call him Ibrahim because that's how I know him from the Bear. But like, this dude is inspired. He grabs a shotgun. He goes out to try and help. That's massive growth for Maximus. Yeah. Becoming somebody that anybody can look up to is huge. And I'm really warming up to him over the course of these two seasons.
That's another thing, is like, I wonder, it's like they're saying that like, it's so hard to get people's gumption up that when they see their communities being attacked to go out there and try to do something about it, that when you can get that kindled, it's only in one or two people and they're shouted down. You know, like if these people weren't in a safe room together, and if they were out like behind barrels on the street, maybe one or two decide at a time and then everybody. But it's like something about being in, okay, it's dangerous, but there's walls between us, and
feeling
we're in
of
Vegas.
safety, even if it's not actual safety. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Hank has one of the hulking ex-legionnaires forced to chip on Lucy, but Cooper shows up at the last minute to kill the legionnaire and shoot Hank in his ass, which disables him. He leaves the choice to kill him up to her, Lucy that is, offering her a little derringer to do the job, and walks off to find his family. Lucy considers using the gun, but she also notices the little chip installer still loaded and ready to go.
Yeah. I have mixed feelings on this. Cooper. He's a complex guy, you know.
Can I say that it was super badass, like him going up there and hitting the knife and the guy falling, and he's finishing the knife throwing motion and then drawing his gun, and he's just so fucking badass. And
for sure,
him saying, if it was up to me, I wouldn't have shot you in the ass, which brings it all the way back to him saying you can't do that to Lucy. But then it's not my decision, and this isn't even my mission anymore. I'm going to trust Lucy to do whatever is just, and I'm going to go and find my family. And the way he kind of tipped her cap too, he's just so slick.
For sure. And in a drama, you know, this really works well. You got to give the characters with the most stakes the choice. I do think there could be a case for just killing this guy and dealing with the fallout. Like, you can't show mercy to the merciless, I guess.
Yeah.
Because Hank has made it clear he's never going to stop. You're not going to convince him that he's in the wrong here. So what are your options? You force him to stop. And if in this world, if shooting him in the head is the way to do that, maybe the ghoul should do that, for Lucy's sake, even, because this is clearly torturous to her and has been ever since she found out who her dad is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I understand and I respect his actions here, but also, God, you just do away with the guy. He's no good.
It would have been better off on Lucy. It'd been less traumatizing in the end if she just shot him in the face. But I did notice, like, this is another. I wonder if Lucy will ever. She's a James Holden character. She can't even help not telling the truth here. When her dad's like, "We're not going back to the vault, are we?" And she's like, "No, I'm going to use this to turn you into the. As soon as you tell me what you're actually doing out here, I'm going to use this to turn you into the father I always thought you were." Well, what leverage you got? You know, as soon as he said that, he started like, "Okay, well, I'm not. I'm just going to distract and shuffle until I can get this thing out of my pocket and wipe my mind." But it's a bunch of self-serving bullshit about. We do learn some
for sure
tidbits, if you can trust what he says, that that the surface was the experiment the whole time.
There are already some of these smaller boxes out in the wild for some goal, whatever that is. And the fact that they're the latest models and you can't even tell who's chipped, that's going to be very interesting. Does that prick your Westworld spidey senses where it's like, oh God, oh no,
you've got two factions of people who are visually indistinguishable? But I guess it's like they should be like a human. You could kill them. They can't come back to life. You know, like it might not be as tricksy. They can't, I don't think, beam their entire. Although, why couldn't they beam their mind into someone else's mind?
I mean, if Robert House can turn himself into a computer, maybe. If you can,
is that a one way? It's like a diode. You can only transfer meat to computer. You can't go back from computer to meat.
I don't know. I will say, there is a little opportunity for that here, but less so than a Westworld for sure.
who do you think he was talking to about they're all following orders written for them centuries ago? Is he talking about himself? Is he talking about the Enclave? Is he talking about the new California Republic? Is he talking about just the puppet
I thought he was
master?
talking about the chipped people.
Oh, so they've been chipped people?
No, I think written for them hundreds of years ago. I think he just means like we set the plan in motion. I don't think they've actually been chipped that long. But I don't know. I don't know. It is a little ambiguous, I guess.
Actually, yeah, we're going to get to the next part where Lucy decides to chip her dad and turn him into the father he thought he was. But first, she wants to know the truth about what he's really doing out there. He stalls and dissembles, but ultimately uses a mind controller he had in his pocket to wipe his memory of everything, including his daughter and his own identity. As she leaves him to his fate, Maximus happens to see her, and they're joyfully reunited. I thought Ella Purnell was really, again, she can be a silly character, she could be funny and her old okie dokie self, but like she's also a fantastic actor and she really sold the horror of like having her dad back for a moment, you know, and hugging him and then realize that he's just rebooted himself and doesn't even know her.
Yeah,
tearjerker.
No, it's as sad as if he had blown his head off in front of her. It's just a different flavor, and I've really felt her anguish in this scene.
Yeah, but she was just going to leave, and I guess that made sense. Like, yeah, why do anything to him? Why kill? It's just this is just a blank human. This is an innocent human being at this point. Probably not long for the world, but Lucy seems like she doesn't like killing people. And it's funny how much unintended so like. A lot of times this season, it's been held out as a virtue to not kill people. But in a lot of the examples we've seen, not killing people leads to bigger problems. Like if Maximus had just killed Quintus, well, maybe season 3 would be less awesome. But, like that the Brotherhood would have been like kind of put down.
Yeah, no, it's... the seeing Lucy sort of trying to mesh her worldview with the reality of the world has been interesting. She has let this world change her a small bit, but she's still holding on to the big things, and I like that.
Yeah.
I do wonder, like, I'm going to go with the show when it tells me that this process is irreversible, because otherwise... nothing, the loop never closes, right? I will have open loops on everything forever, and I'm just not interested in watching television that way. So the show said this is irreversible. Hank is 100% gone. He might as well, like I said, have blown his head off. That's it. Yep.
I really don't want them to get into cloning or memory backups, or if they do, it can only be somebody like Robert House. It can't just be anybody.
And they can... until they tell me that that's possible with Hank and that Hank was lying and whatnot, I'm not even going to consider it.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan. One thing before we move on, I did think it was really funny because like with the wide shot establishes that Hank is just still sitting there kind of stunned on the steps when Lucy and Maximus come and have their romantic reunion. Like he's like 15 foot away and I'm like, what is he thinking? Like, oh, these nice young people. I really hope it works out for them. It's just...
What's Max thinking? Because the last time he saw Hank, it was a different situation. He was a different person, literally.
This is true. But and that's the thing. It didn't feel like... I feel like a lot of shows, Maximus just happened being there at the time. Like it would have all felt like, oh, bullshit. This is all way too... But they had reasons to be there. Hank had brought Lucy there. The ghoul knew where Lucy was because he cut the deal with her dad. He finds the only thing that was a meet cute was Maximus and Thaddeus finding the ghoul in the wasteland. But they were on the run from the Brotherhood, and I'm not even sure if the mutant guy didn't put them in their path for some ends that we don't even comprehend yet. Like he wanted them to meet. So it's like it is all pretty neat and tidy. Didn't feel coincidental.
Yeah. No, it would be interesting if that were the case, and Robert House's, claim that eventually everyone works for him, he's actually unknowingly working for the Enclave or Ron Perlman, whoever. That would make a lot of sense in a twisted way.
So Stephanie is holding out in the Vault 32 Overseer's office like Hitler in the Fuhrer bunker. She uses the Pip-Boy recovered from Hank's keepsake box to send a transmission to the Enclave, instructing them to begin Phase 2. We jump to the Enclave headquarters somewhere in the mountains, where we see them receive both her signal, Hank's original signal, you recall back to in like episode 2 or 3, and then Norm's signal that he sent last episode. And there's a whole bunch of computers and a whole bunch of host protocols, and I freeze framed them all.
Oh yeah, anything interesting in there?
Well, just like okay, what is the new American flag?
The new American flag?
Yeah, the one that we've seen in the vault, and the one that it's
I don't
got
recall.
Oh, well, so it's like it's an old Betsy Ross flag where you've got the 13 stripes and the 13 circles in a ring formation. The Enclave, funny enough, has that as their sigil, except for it's only 12 stars instead of 13. And I wonder if the one holdout is the Boston Commonwealth. Like that's the one thing that refused to be co-opted by the Enclave. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. It also says this software is copyright 2076 Robco, which is the year before the bomb dropped, right? 77 was when they dropped it. It's purports to be an emergency Enclave frequency, and it's got the Enclave headquarters has got the unified Robco OS, and it's got this God Bless America on the startup screen, which is weird. But yeah, it also said orders 1 complete, and it says authorized orders 2, and it said step 2 redacted, and it says phase 2 initiation request received. So it's all a big mystery, but it does feel like it's not just a request, that this request is going to be put into motion, is what I got from it. And again, Robco is all over this shit. Like his systems are underpinning all of the Enclave, even their emergency systems. I also really like this like jet black obsidian Pip-Boy that was Enclave branded.
Oh yeah.
It's really
it's clear.
I don't know
it's
if that's
a special
part of the game, but that's the coolest looking Pip-Boy I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little sleeker too, right? A little more streamlined. It's not as bulky.
Yeah, I think it's got more features. Like it looked like it had like a built-in compass and some other things. So it's like it felt like a more advanced version of what Vault Tech had.
Totally.
But yeah, the Hank's original saying that he's there reporting for duty. Nobody from Vault Tech knows me. Norm saying, "Dad, if you can hear me, what's going to happen to our vault?" The Enclave is now fully aware of things going on to their west, and I'm sure that's going to be interesting next year.
Yeah, I do feel like that's a bit of a stylistic flourish. It's not that they're receiving these messages in real time now here, that they received these before, right? It's to tell us they are always listening. Like
they
Stephanie
were always
says.
listening. Yeah, all these messages were received. Back at the Vault Tech headquarters, the above ground one, Norm recovers and finds the room where Bud's buds were hiding from the rad roaches, completely overrun by the insects. And all living things, roach or person, dead inside. Except for Claudia, who seems a bit chewed up, but otherwise alive.
Yeah.
How does it happen that a group of humans get locked in a room with a group of rad roaches and they all die simultaneously? I mean, I guess I can see it happening.
It feels pretty contrived, I will say. It's the one thing that I was like, I don't know about this, especially with the one person who Norm cares about surviving. It also feels a little contrived.
She's
Whatever.
dirty. She's dirty.
Sure.
Everyone sacrificed their life to embed Claudia into the Norm, the son of Hank faction.
Yeah, we'll see.
The other thing is, like, if that was all an Enclave run thing, Bud seems really pathetic in hindsight. This guy was stopped by Norm and a bucket of water. Or maybe the Enclave aren't what they're cracked up to be either.
Potentially.
But he's I don't know where he got this cart. He's got himself hooked up to this cart with like some kind of leather daddy gladiator chest harness, and he's pulling her through the wasteland.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper is finally led by House to his family's cryotubes, but unfortunately they are now unoccupied. House begins to taunt him until Cooper finds a postcard from Colorado left to him by his wife Barb. For the first time in 200 years, he finally knows his family is still alive and tells Robert House their deal's off. Simultaneously, we see in a flashback that Cooper is betrayed to the House Un-American Activities Committee and arrested at the airport. He tells Barb to let him take the fall, quote unquote, for her before he is taken into custody by a bunch of G-men.
Yeah, here's the thing about Robert House. My estimation of him has really come down a lot since meeting him first, because it's clear here that Cooper was simply using him, playing him, and House didn't think that possible or felt like it was unlikely and then got burned by it. He didn't know about the Enclave until it was apparently too late for himself. So like all of this adding up to House is not as clever as he thought he was.
It's unless he's playing a bigger game where making Cooper feel like he's in control, and because like the one thing is like, I mean, Cooper completely House completely controls the Vault Tech corporate headquarters that's below ground. It seems like he's got full access to it.
Yeah,
it would be pretty trivial to remove Barb and his daughter, although. And put that card from Colorado. The only thing is it does look like it's Barb's handwriting. And the last thing, we didn't mention this in the recap, but the last thing they were talking about before the phone started ringing was, hey, we should go to Bakersfield. Fuck Bakersfield. Let's go all the way to Colorado. Oh, yeah. And it says Colorado's a good idea. But also we know that House has got everything wired for sound. So if he wants to get Cooper, for whatever ends, out to the Enclave, then he just accomplished his goal.
Yeah, you could be right.
Because otherwise, I'm with you. I don't see how Robert House is anything but a fool and a sucker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. No, if he has some other plan in motion, which is not unlikely, I guess, that would definitely redeem him. For now, I'm unimpressed, but I don't know. I would also say like the signal lost thing that we see does not necessarily mean that Robert House is deleted or unable to, return. It could just be that he was remotely appearing on this computer anyway. And it just lost
says signal lost, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean like Robert House mainframe deactivated. Like signal is like it's getting a remote signal from somewhere. So
right.
Like, why did he even need the cold fusion? Was that like
he may not have? It may be a thing where the diode was simply for Cooper to interact with him, and like you said, set him in motion on his path to Colorado. Perhaps I don't know, but also I'm intrigued.
And I don't know if this is the kayfabe in the show, because like you mentioned that you're not impressed with Robert House. Like again, reading these documents, these Epstein files. Gotta say, not super impressed with a lot of the wealthy and powerful in the world.
Yeah.
They all seem like a bunch of fucking idiots. It's unbelievable. But anyway, what else have we got left to recap? I know. Lucy is horrified to find Caesar's Legion marching on New Vegas with what looks like to be a sizable army. Fearing that she has created this situation, Maximus consoles her with a, well, that's the wasteland for you, and takes her hand. Our final shot before the credits is Cooper looking out over a desert valley that leads to the towering Rocky Mountains far into the distance.
Mm-hmm.
It is her fault.
Yeah, if you didn't remember, Max has started his own war, so he's no stranger to it.
Right. I think I started a war.
Welcome to the wasteland.
Maybe it's necessary because we know the Brotherhood comes from that general direction. It could be that this is all going to serve a purpose where the Legion and the Brotherhood wipe each other out, and then you just got the NCR in Vegas, and then. But my question is like, it's very unclear for the first time, and since I've been watching this show, how the hell Cooper is going to rejoin the main plot, because there's nothing to connect. Lucy doesn't know why he was there. Well, I mean, I guess she kind of could guess, but she goes and finds those things empty. He took the postcard with him. How the fuck would they know where she's going?
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to imagine.
My guess is Robert House might give her that information.
Or something else could send them in that direction, and they could just sort of meet there.
Because I do wonder how much of this stuff he worked out with the NCR Ranger lady too. Because, we kind of thought that he had sold them out until it turns out he's blowing up the Legion camp. I wonder if he worked that out with her. And I wonder, but yeah, the thing is I don't know where that army came from, because I don't think Cooper knew about that army. I'd be a little pissed if he did, because everything they showed us of Cooper and Dogmeat walking through in early was telling me that the NCR is gone. It's a ghost town. All the places he knew to look was gone.
Yeah, I don't know how much the first week intern knows, but I could see Norm meeting back up with Lucy and Max, and if she knows something about Colorado or Stage 2, Stage 2 is probably what's going to do it.
Maybe the Enclave kidnaps them all and takes them back to their base, and it's classic.
Sure.
How do you get Luke, Leia, and Han together? Well, you have the Empire tractor beam them in.
Yeah, totally.
Why wouldn't they? That could be, it might be the simplest solution. I thought it was interesting. The song that they chose at the end, I found out, was a song written in 1942 during, or maybe it's 43 when America started getting involved in the war. And it's this patriotic kind of like, look at your stereotypical rural America, the valleys covered in corn, the small little farms and cabins, and the faces of the people you love and adore, and you think to yourself, this is worth fighting for. And that's at the end, like, why is Lucy fighting? Why is Maximus fighting? They're fighting for each other. They're fighting so each other can live a better life. And on the other hand, you got to think of, what is the Enclave fighting for? What is Robert House fighting for?
Control,
clearly not
power.
To protect any of these things that they cherish, if they even cherish anything.
Yeah. No, the only thing he cherishes is his ability to do whatever the hell he wants.
Did you notice that for like a brief portion of a second, while the camera is moving off from Lucy and Maximus staring out the penthouse window looking at the army approach, that Robert House's face flickered and replaced the signaled loss? There was like just a couple of frames where that it resolved and his head was there. So again, if nothing else told you there's bullshit and fuckery afoot, that's your clue. But I imagine a lot of people, again, if you weren't looking right at it, you could have missed it. So there is a post-credit scene. It's not spoilers to talk about the post-credit scene.
No.
And I'm not going to say what it implies. Everybody can Google things if they want to. But let me ask you, how would you characterize the post-credit scene?
How I would describe it is the war that Maximus started didn't take. Somehow Quintus survived that whole battle, and now he's pissed off. And he's unleashing what I assume is a super weapon of some type. He calls himself, he says, Quintus the the unifier died and now I'm Quintus the Destroyer. And it shows this schematic of what looks like a Power Armor-esque sort of thing called Liberty Prime Alpha.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. I don't know what Liberty Prime Alpha is. I've heard the term Liberty Prime before, but I don't have any context for it, which is kind of nice.
Well, I'm not telling, but I think it's going to be fucking awesome. It's one of the few parts of the lore that I've kind of interfaced with. And I got to say, Michael Christopher, the guy who plays Quintus, he is so good. At like this self-serving bullshit. I tried to do the right thing. I tried to unify and they wouldn't follow my lead. So now I am become death. You know, he's just glorious at it. And Dane. So this is interesting too. Dane is right in the middle. What happened to the kids? Why is Dane still there? Are they working to overthrow the Brotherhood? Were they trying to keep them off of Maximus's trail? I'm very curious to know, because that was the other plot. You know, it's like Maximus got the chip, Dane got the kids, and I thought Dane would fuck off in another direction. I was very surprised to see them looking like they even got a promotion. Like maybe they're Quintus's equerry or something. Like they're Batman or valet.
Yeah. I thought the Dane had a fairly strong moral compass. So I'm curious to see how they react to this declaration of destruction in next season. Because there's no real time to process what's going on here, right? Dane just delivers this tube which has a schematic in it. I don't even know if Dane knows what this is or what is coming, but I'm curious to see how they react to it.
And not for nothing, this Liberty Prime Alpha schematic at the bottom of it, the blueprint, claims that this is a joint project between the Strategic Arms Division of the U.S. Army, General Atomics, Robco, and another company called Mass Fusion.
Okay.
So again, both sides using this Robco technology that I can't think, or it's got to be a boon to Robert House, you know, like he's still got his fingers in all the pies this time because his enemies architected all their systems on his shit. That's how I interpret it anyway.
Could be.
That's the second season all wrapped up on a bow. I believe our plan is to come back next week to do a little bit of final feedback and to kind of wrap things up, have some additional thoughts.
Maybe you should compile that with the introduction of this Liberty Prime thing.
Yeah, that's fine. I was even thinking maybe I could see if Pete wants to come on and talk Liberty Prime with me. And talk about where maybe next, non-spoilery, where next season's going by his lights. But do we get if people want to send us feedback, it's fallout@baldmove.com. Of course, you can go to our support.baldmove.com if you'd like to get ad-free feeds and other bonus audio content, access to our delightful community on Discord. And then again, thank you very much for everybody who supported our Groundhog Day marathon. Raised a lot of money for a great charity, curals.org. 52,000 and counting. Be looking on either Bald Move Pulp or Bald Move Prestige, both of them, for our wrap-up podcast. But yeah, thank you for everyone that supported it. And if you still want to get some awesome Batman/Bald Move merch and or send in a donation, it's still not too late. Go to groundhog.baldmove.com, and as long as the donation link is there and the link to buy merch is there, it's not too late. So thanks again. All right, Jim, did we get any Wasteland transmissions at the Bald Move Enclave headquarters?
Sure did. Awesome. Got a handful of them here that I think will be fun to talk about and read. First, we'll start off with Andrew, who wants to talk about the tone of this show. He says it's confused. When the previously on runs, you'd think that this show was as self-serious as Westworld was, but obviously the show isn't. The Canadian concentration camp thing feels more like a satire or a parody, but actually not. I can't take it seriously. It's weird. The previously ons carry themselves like it has this overtly serious nature, but the content and original content is just not that serious. How do you feel? Do you think there's a mismatch between the tones of the previously on and the actual show?
I gotta say that sometimes bothers me. I've had a hard time interfacing with some shows before where they do kind of do zany stuff, but then they want to be taken seriously. I think because Fallout has always been that kind of tongue-in-cheek, but, you know, again, like Christ said, if those who have ears listen, you know, you could just watch this as a fun post-apocalyptic show and not think too much about it, or you could engage really deeply with what it's going into. But I, for one, I appreciate that, you know, whenever you're sobbing, you're just probably 30 seconds away from feeling better about yourself or having something to chuckle at. And I think it's uniquely worlds like this that are so bleak and so fantastic that you can kind of skirt those lines a little bit, because in reality, a real life Fallout Wasteland would probably be hilarious and tragic in equal moments.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I do see what you're saying. There's definitely like a tone they're going for in the previously ons, which is a little more straightforward and serious, but I mean, what it's supposed to do, play circus music behind it. Like, I think what's really doing it is because they're going with the plot relevant points, which are not the fart gags and the chicken fucker getting fisted by a Fisto robot and and it's different. So I think the Leftovers was absolutely side-splitting hilarious from time to time, but it never like stopped and just did like some shtick. It was always like stuff that came out of the universe organically that just happened to be funny. Whereas Fallout's much more, hey, look at this, you know, look at this thing we're doing. You know, guy shaking bottle caps out of his leg and his arm falling off and shooting people with his feet. But for me, it doesn't affect my feeling that those moments are also awesome and stirring, and also still doesn't prevent me from emotionally connecting with the characters. Yeah, it occasionally does for me. I think the big one that stood out to me was Watchmen. When they started doing stuff with Lube Man, I was like, okay, this is a little too unserious.
Also, what was that even about?
Dude, I couldn't tell you.
I think the elephants attached to jumper cables, that actually worked out, but like there's a couple, yeah.
It was a lot to handle.
I've definitely felt that emotional tonal whiplash before. It's just for whatever reason, it's not fucking with me on this one.
Yeah, same here. I'm enjoying it. Andrew continues with some stuff on Mr. House, which is something I didn't know that is interesting about the casting. So after season 1, where they had already done Robert House in that meeting with Barb where she's trying to sell everybody on the plan and the vaults, they later decided to cast Justin Theroux, so the body double story aspect was realistically more of a retcon, but not really, because they didn't have to override or backtrack anything. My general feeling, though, was in season 1, none of the body double or Justin Theroux stuff was necessarily concocted yet. That's true. I saw an article on Screen Rant that was talking about how that's exactly what happened. They were like, we cast this guy, he's Robert House. We kind of want more star power for this. Let's hire Justin Theroux, and then retcon, quote unquote, the fact that this is a body double for him, and he likes to stay behind the scenes.
It fits in his character. Like that's a surprise to know that this was invented, because it feels exactly like something Robert House would do. So one of the better recastings, because a lot of shows just do it. It's like, fuck it. You know, we had a minor character at 30 seconds of screen time last season. He's going to have a big part this year. We need to up that profile. I wonder how the Robert House actor feels about that, though. He's like, God damn,
it's gotta suck.
I get to be Robert House. Maybe goes plays the games. Oh man, this is a beefy role. I'm going to get into it, and then actually we're getting a more better known, handsomer, more capable actor than you. Like,
yeah, ouch. No, it's rough for sure. Hey, at least you got your name and face out there a little bit on a big show. You know, maybe the next time they won't recast you.
Yeah.
But you never know. Let's go to Mark B.
It would be. I will say
says,
it'd be really funny next year if we see some of digitized Robert House, like those monitors, and it's actually the fake guy. Like he's still like he's got a decoy robot avatars of himself.
I love it. Yeah, he's gonna be a VTuber with that guy's face. Mark B says, greetings, fellow vault dwellers. Allow me to introduce you to the wonderful world of hockey slang. Hoser is simply a Canadian slang term for a loser. In the days before ice resurfacing machines, better known as Zambonis, after a hockey game, it was the losing team's responsibility to hose down the ice and prepare it for the next match.
Ah, okay.
That's awesome. Hosers.
Yeah, because one of my neighbors loved Strange Brew, this Rick Moranis weird Canadian movie, and that's where I got it from, because they're constantly, hey, hoser, you know, stop bogarting my beer or whatever. Slur for Canadians, huh?
Yeah,
and what else?
I guess so. I just love the origin of it.
Canadians don't give you a lot of material to work with. You fucking nice guys, goddamn Maple Leafs. Fucking curlers, like it just doesn't have any teeth to it. Even hosers just doesn't sound like it's got much teeth. But I guess if you're following calling him a hoser with hosing him down with 50 caliber machine gun bullets, that's a slur.
Oh yeah. I know you got something to say about this. You teased it earlier. Mike says, I gotta ask, with all the similarities to giant corporations making power plays in our world versus the Fallout universe, what do you think of the irony of this being an Amazon product? Definitely sidestep the politics on this, but a case could be made that our own version of Mr. House is airing this show on his network, right?
Very great value, Robert House, I would say. What's this guy got? Copper rockets and data centers. It's not quite as cool as industrial robots and anti-missile systems and mile deep in the Earth's crust super bunkers, I gotta say. Maybe they're working on that too. But no, it is weird that it's like fucking, it's the system, right? Like capitalism will co-opt criticism of itself to make more money. You know, if you've ever bought a Che Guevara t-shirt, then you've already met that irony. But it is super ironic that one of the top 5 wealthiest men in the world is paying for a show to be produced and aired on his network that is an explicit criticism of his entire class.
Feels like he's betting caps on whether or not the death claws are going to kill Max, right? Like, it doesn't matter that this is something that is making a statement against his very existence. He's making a profit on it, so who gives a shit? It's giving him more control, more power. You know, it's there's an irony to it, and I love it.
There's like a
he doesn't
maybe
care.
there's a safety outlet too. Like you let you know, you let a little bit of credit, and then maybe I look like a good guy because honestly, The Expanse, that's his favorite show. I don't see how he could be it's his favorite show, because it's kind of condemning everything that he does and stands for. But people be dumb, you know?
Yeah. Corey G writes in, says, when I first watched episode 5 and the reveal of Stephanie's ID card, I felt a bit agitated. Then I thought the same thing one of you said, well, this was probably written a year or more ago. After this past episode, though, I decided to go all in. Stephanie is now my favorite character, and I hope she remembers the name of Metallica's first album, Kill 'Em All, I think is what he's going. Or Ride the Lightning?
It's Kill 'Em All, right? Garage Days Inc.
I don't think it's Garage
what is that?
Inc.
What
is what he
that
wants
mean?
to remember. Yeah, right. I'm a bit worried she won't make it much longer. Obviously, she'll be able to continue appearing in the past. Until then, everyone from the past, sans Janie, are the baddies now to me. Steph's character will be an amalgamation of real-life World War II heroes Leo Major and Mona Parsons in my headcanon. And
I
aside
can
from
see
the fact,
merch with like a Che Guevara style depiction of Stephanie with her eye patch selling like hotcakes in Canada.
oh yeah, just a little distressed.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Aside from the fact that Canada is on the American continent, it was also annexed by the USA of A. Doesn't that make her American? That's a sticky subject.
Not even sure if fully naturalized citizens are American anymore. You know, what's an American really?
I've got ideas, but apparently they don't matter.
Do you think it includes people that have lived here for thousands of years?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. But I'm saying, but what you think does, I'm saying like deep down at a institutional level, like what does it mean to be an American? I used to thought it was supporting liberal democracy and truth.
Yeah.
Justice, the American way, you know, all those Superman values, but kind of feel like an idiot nowadays.
Continues or finishes off here. By the way, good luck getting the oil out of the Canadian Shield. Not even Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck could do that. You'll have to go west to the Athabasca oil sands in northeastern Alberta for most of the oil, which is relatively close to Uranium City in North Saskatchewan.
Hey man, you
you
should feel honored that I as an American even know of something like a large scale geographic feature, even if I cite it wrong, in America's northern resource zone. Okay. But yeah, what is the Canadian Shield like the big granite? I don't know. I've heard that the oil tar sands got a lot of it. It's hard to get the oil out of it. It's more expensive to get the oil out.
It's hard to get the dinosaurs out of it. That's what's hard with the tar sand stuff.
Yeah. Hard to squeeze dinosaurs out of sand.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it for the feedback.
All right, fallout at baldmove.com if you want to contribute to next week's the post-season wrap-up podcast. And if you'd like to support us, support.baldmove.com. Keep us making podcasts. Get some nice things for yourself. And finally, if you'd like to help directly fund research to scientists, doctors, and researchers that are looking to halt, slow down, prevent, and ultimately reverse the effects of Alzheimer's disease, please go to groundhog.baldmove.com and use the donate here link or buy merch here link. Either way, 100% of the proceeds go to Cure Alz. Look for the wrap-up podcast in Bald Move Pulp and Bald Move Prestige in the weeks ahead. That's going to do it for Fallout Season 2. We'll be back next week with a wrap-up podcast. Until then, I'm your host, Aaron.
And I'm Jim.
Okie dokie.
We're going down, down,